Hi there, and happy Easter to those of you celebrating. And welcome to the Sunny Days podcast at jollyville.com. That's JALEAVILLE.com. I'm your host, Jolly, and today we've got some Did You Know and a little bit more. So grab a quick cup of sunshine and let's get started. First up today, stories. Stories are of just a few real life people expressing shared kindness in their life and what a difference a simple act of kindness can make to a person. First up, called The Receiving End of a Beautiful Stranger's Kindness. And it's shared simply by someone who calls themselves a friend. And she writes, if you've ever stepped in and paid for a stranger's groceries or food items, I just want you to know the deep gratitude that that person felt for your generosity. I was on the receiving end of a beautiful stranger's kindness today, she said, after becoming a blubbering mess due to the trifecta of less than ideal results from a specialist, a hangy kid, and a lower than ideal bank account. Suddenly, this angel on earth quietly told me he'd take care of it, and gratefully didn't plumb the depths of appreciation. Kind sir, I say to you, from a stretched mama, thank you. And our next one comes from Overwhelmed with Generosity. And this is shared by Kate. And she said, I work for an organization that provides emergency relief for people who are experiencing a crisis. This evening, I was shopping to replenish our pantry. And as my trolley was very full, I let a couple of people with a few things go ahead of me while I was loading them on the conveyor. One lady with a sweet small boy thanked me and asked if I was buying for a church food kitchen. I explained the groceries for a community center emergency relief pantry. When my groceries had been checked out and checked through, the operator told me that the total the lady paid right before me left $50 cash to contribute toward the bill. So she said, I'll take that off your total now. I was so overwhelmed by this generosity, I was almost in tears, happy tears. Unfortunately, she was long gone by the time I found out what she had done. So I'll say it here to the lovely lady at the East Aldi. Thank you so very much. Wonderful. And our last little one, you are one in a million. And this is shared by Sonia. And she says, very recently, someone I was traveling internationally with left their iPad in the back seat pouch of the plane. One of the cleaning staff for the airline phoned to advise that it had been found and would be left at lost property. Unfortunately, our return flight was well outside the usual lost property hours. That absolutely amazing person went above and beyond, she says, to bring it to us. 1.5 hour drive from the airport and drop it right off to us. After he assured us it was no trouble and he would be passing through the town where we were staying anyway. When he arrived, I asked for his full name so I could tell his boss how amazing he was. He said, please don't. I'd get in big trouble if they knew I'd brought it to you. So I'm just going to say, thank you, C. You're one in a million. Uh, Fabulous stories. And a jolly chat April Fool's story called Ballooning. In the town of Harrisville, population 777, there was a mayor who was known for being a bit too serious. Mayor Thompson was always busy with town meetings, budget planning, and various official duties, leaving little time for fun and laughter. One day, the townspeople decided it was time to lighten the mayor's mood with an elaborate prank. They gathered secretly in the town square and began to hatch a plan. They knew the mayor had a prized possession, a vintage car that he cherished dearly. So they decided to turn his car into what else? A giant hot air balloon. Under the cover of darkness, the townspeople snuck into the mayor's garage and carefully inflated hundreds of colorful balloons inside and around his car. They attached ropes to the car and connected them to nearby buildings, trees, and lampposts. The next day, as the mayor stepped out of his house to head to work, he couldn't believe his eyes. His car was floating several feet off the ground, tethered to the ground by a web of ropes and balloons. The entire town had gathered to witness the spectacle, laughing and cheering at the sight. Mayor Thompson couldn't help but laugh himself, realizing he had been pranked. He climbed aboard his floating car, and with the help of some of the townspeople, he was able to navigate it through the town square, waving to the amused crowd below. After a few laps around the square, the mayor's car was gently lowered back to the ground, much to the relief of the mayor. The townspeople then gathered for a big celebration, complete with music, food, and lots of laughter. From that day on, Mayor Thompson learned, loosen up a little bit and enjoy the lighter side of life, thanks to that hilarious prank pulled off by the entire town of Harrisville. And now, a sunny day shout out. And since it's the last day of March, let's mention some famous people who were born in March. Albert Einstein, Vincent van Gogh, Harriet Tubman, Michelangelo. And here are some great personalities that were born in March. Quincy Jones turned 90, Miss Vanessa Williams, George Benson, Shaka Khan turned 70, Jim Parsons, Quentin Tarantino, Robert Conrad, Ron Howard, Paul Michael Glacier, Justin Bieber, Glenn Miller, just to name a few, Desi Arnaz, and Karen Carpenter. And now some Did You Know about April Fool's Day. Check out these fascinating facts about this infamous holiday of pranks. April Fool's Day history is a bit of a mystery. No one exactly knows how the true story of April Fool's Day, but some historians believe it goes back to a change in the calendar in the 16th century, before modern Georgian calendar was created, the one we still use today. New Year's Day actually fell on April 1st. Apparently, when the switch was first made, some folks were resistant and wanted to continue celebrating the new year on the 1st of April. This eventually gave them the nickname April Fools. A possible origin to the to the holiday's name, I suppose. April Fool's Day always falls on April the 1st every year. It sure does. Make sure your joke is as good as the day, and it only comes around once a year, so enjoy it. And it's a day for playing practical jokes. April Fool's Day is the best day to play practical jokes. It's every practical joker's favorite day. And give us a call. Let us know what some of the jokes are you've played. And it is said you are meant to stop the April Fool's jokes at 12 p.m. Get out the rule book. Apparently, the April Fool's rules have been in place since the 1700s. You should only be doing April Fool's joke until 12 p.m. No one knows why that is either. Pretty interesting day that nobody really knows a whole lot about, huh? Well, that's our information for that. However, here's a couple of public pranks by big companies that happened to make the news in the past. Back in 1996, Taco Bell, the fast food restaurant chain, duped people when it announced it had agreed to purchase Philadelphia's Liberty Bell and intended to rename it the Taco Liberty Bell. And it did cause just a little bit of a fuss, I may say. In 1998, after Burger King advertised a left-handed Whopper, scores of clueless customers requested the fake sandwich. And Google is notoriously known for hosting an annual April Fool's Day prank that has included everything from telepathic search to the ability to play Pac-Man on Google Maps. However, for the average trickster, there's always the classic April Fool's Day prank. So play fair, be safe, make it fun. Happy April Fool's Day to those of you who celebrate it. And now from the entertainment world, coming to the big screen next month, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, based on the original 1991 cult classic. 17-year-old Tanya Crandall's plans for a carefree summer are derailed when her stressed to the limit mom takes off for a wellness retreat and puts Tanya and her three siblings in charge of the old babysitter. The babysitter's sudden death leaves the kids short on cash and reluctant to pull mom prematurely out of her much-needed R&R. So Tanya is forced to get a job. Posing as an adult, she gets a gig as the executive assistant at a fashion company and overnight is thrust into the world of adult and parenting. That's going to be great. And a few new TV streaming starting this next month. Ripley will be starting season 1 on Netflix. And over on Amazon Prime Video, Fallout will begin season 1, April the 12th. The Sympathizer, comes out on HBO April the 14th. And Knuckles season 1 will premiere on Paramount April the 26th. And now for some music. Here's a few music releases that are set for April. Blue Oyster Cult will be releasing Ghost Stories. Maggie Rogers will be releasing Don't Forget Me. And Glenn Campbell, goody from the 60s and 70s. It's the Rhinestone Cowboy song. His song was in the movie, later, called Rhinestone Cowboy with Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton. Ooh, for Glenn Campbell. He will be releasing debuts, Ghost of a Canvas Session. And Pearl Jam will be releasing Dark Matter. And Miss Taylor Swift, the Tortured Poets Department. Looking forward to all of them. And as we come to a close of today's story, let's remember that the things we share serve as reminders of the goodness that surround us every day. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So find your beauty, shine, and share it. Remember to spread love, joy, and positivity whenever and wherever you go. See you next week for more stories, entertainment news, fun facts, and more. Until then, peace and love always. And thank you for tuning in to the Sunny Daze podcast at jollyville.com. That's JALEADILLE.com. See you next week.